saying that this is all the reason, but True T has really done an amazing thing for Miss Black Titanic, and I appreciate that. And it's always good to see creators supporting other creators. But child, y'all go over there and listen to this, because this right here is the clown of the year, baby.
Let's really talk about what just happened, because this situation between Maurice Scott and Kimmi is no longer just relationship problems. It has turned into something deeper, something messier, and honestly, something a lot more painful than people expected. Because now we're not just talking about distance, miscommunication, or emotional disconnect. We're talking about betrayal. And not the kind you can easily explain away, the kind that changes how you see someone forever.
I wanted to make sure that no one is misled by this information. First of all, my name is Maurice Scott, Maurice Jefferson Scott, Sr. And if you're gonna do research on a Maurice Scott, make sure that you're researching the right person.
Recently, Maurice was seen doing something that had fans completely stunned. He wasn't just apologizing quietly behind closed doors. He wasn't just trying to fix things privately. He was begging. And I don't mean casually saying, "I'm sorry." I'm talking about a full emotional breakdown caught on camera, where he looked like a man who finally realized he might have lost everything. But here's the real question that has everyone talking. Is Maurice truly sorry? Or is he only reacting now because the truth about his alleged affair is out and there's nowhere left to hide? To understand why this moment hit so hard, we have to go back, because none of this happened overnight.
That you guys didn't see. However, in the moment that I acted, I was acting to protect the situation, protect my brother from further harm.
When Maurice and Kimmi first came into the spotlight, they gave off a completely different energy. They weren't the loudest couple in the room, they weren't constantly arguing or putting each other on blast. Instead, they felt grounded, stable, like two people who had been through enough in life to know what really mattered.
Honey, and before you get on social media, TV, YouTube, talking about what you think you know, maybe reach out to the people that you're about to talk about and ask maybe if it's true or not, because it can land you in trouble when you speak of people that's not true.
Kimmi especially stood out. She wasn't just a wife, she was a backbone. She carried herself with this quiet strength that didn't need validation, whether it was supporting Maurice's career, balancing family responsibilities, or showing up for everyone around her. Kimmi was always present, always steady, always giving. And Maurice, at first, he seemed like a man with direction, focused on building his legacy, guiding his son, and growing professionally. He had this calm, confident presence that made people believe he had everything under control. But even back then, if you were really paying attention, there were small signs that things weren't as perfect as they looked. Because while Kimmi was emotionally available, Maurice often felt distant, not physically absent, but emotionally out of reach. And that difference matters more than people realize. Over time, that imbalance started to grow. Kimmi was pouring into the relationship, supporting, understanding, adjusting, while Maurice seemed to stay locked into his own world, his goals, his plans, his pace. And it wasn't that he didn't care, it's that he didn't always show up in the way she needed. And when you're in a relationship where one person keeps giving and the other keeps missing the moment, eventually something starts to break.
Nobody knows what I did when I left, and nobody knows what he did when he left. It's speculation.
Then came one of the hardest chapters of Kimmi's life, her health battle. That moment shifted everything, because when someone you love is fighting something that serious, it's not about fixing things. It's about being there, fully, emotionally, mentally. And this is where things started to feel different. Fans began noticing that while Kimmi was going through one of the toughest times of her life, Maurice didn't always seem emotionally present. He was there, but not really there. And that kind of absence hits deeper than people think, because sometimes it's not the loud arguments that hurt the most. It's the silence. It's feeling alone while someone is sitting right next to you. As time went on, Kimmi started to pull back, not dramatically, not publicly, but quietly. And that quiet distance spoke louder than anything else. She stopped over-explaining, stopped chasing emotional connection, stopped trying to fix what felt one-sided. And then everything changed, because just when people thought the situation was about emotional disconnect, rumors started circulating about something much worse, an affair. At first, it sounded like gossip, the kind of thing that pops up online and disappears just as quickly. But this time, it didn't go away, because there were details, there were timelines, there were whispers from people close to the situation saying that Maurice may have been living a completely different life behind the scenes. And once that door opened, everything started to unravel. Then came the moment that no one was ready for: Maurice breaking down. It happened unexpectedly. No big announcement, no controlled setting, just raw emotion caught on camera. He looked shaken, not composed, not calculated, just broken. His voice cracked as he tried to explain himself. "I messed up," he said, and you could hear the weight in those words, not just regret, but fear. Fear of losing Kimmi, fear of losing the life he had built, fear of facing the consequences of choices he couldn't undo. He admitted that he hadn't been the man she needed, that he took her strength for granted, that he didn't realize how much she was holding everything together until she stopped. But here's the twist. He didn't directly deny the affair, and that silence, it spoke volumes. Because instead of clearly shutting down the rumors, Maurice kept circling around the pain, the mistakes, the regret, but never fully addressing the betrayal itself. And people noticed. Fans started asking, why isn't he denying it? Why is he apologizing without explaining? And that's when things got even more complicated, because not long after his emotional breakdown, more information started surfacing. Alleged messages, alleged meetups, timelines that didn't quite add up. And suddenly, what once sounded like rumors started to feel real. According to sources, Maurice may have been involved with another woman during a period when his relationship with Kimmi was already fragile. And if that's true, it changes everything. Because it's one thing to struggle in a relationship, it's another thing to step outside of it, especially when your partner is going through one of the hardest moments of their life. That kind of betrayal doesn't just hurt, it cuts deep. And while Maurice was publicly breaking down, asking for forgiveness, trying to show remorse, Kimmi stayed quiet, completely quiet. No interviews, no emotional posts, no public reactions. And that silence, it wasn't weakness, it was distance. Because sometimes when someone is truly done, they don't argue, they don't explain, they just step back. And insiders say that's exactly what Kimmi has done. She's no longer trying to understand, no longer trying to fix things, no longer carrying the emotional weight of a relationship that left her feeling alone. And that's what makes Maurice's breakdown even harder to watch, because now it feels like he's fighting for something that may already be gone. Reports say he's been reaching out constantly, calling, sending messages, trying to have conversations, trying to get just one more chance. But Kimmi? She's not responding the way she used to. She's setting boundaries, keeping her distance, protecting her peace. And honestly, after everything that's come out, can you blame her? Because trust isn't something you can rebuild overnight, especially when it's broken at that level. And what makes this situation even more painful is the timing. Because Kimmi needed him most during her hardest moments. And instead of feeling supported, she ended up feeling alone. That kind of emotional memory doesn't just disappear, it stays with you. It changes how you see the person you once trusted completely. And now Maurice is left trying to undo something that can't simply be fixed with apologies. Because forgiveness, that's not just about saying sorry. It's about rebuilding something that's been shattered. And sometimes that's not possible. People close to the situation say Maurice is genuinely struggling, that this isn't just about saving his image, that he's actually realizing the weight of what he's done. But here's the difficult truth. Realizing it late doesn't erase the damage. It just makes the loss feel heavier. Because now he understands what Kimmi meant to him. Now he sees how much she gave. Now he feels the absence of the emotional support he once took for granted. But by the time some people wake up, the other person has already moved on emotionally. And that's where things stand now. One person trying to fix what's broken, the other person choosing peace over pain. So the question isn't just, will Kimmi forgive him? The real question is, even if she does, will things ever feel the same again? Because once trust is broken, it doesn't come back in its original form. It comes back fragile, different, sometimes incomplete, and sometimes it doesn't come back at all. What we're watching isn't just relationship drama. It's a real-life moment where choices, timing, and emotional absence collided in the worst way possible. Maurice may truly regret what happened. He may genuinely want to change. But growth doesn't guarantee reconciliation. And love, no matter how strong it once was, doesn't always survive betrayal. Kimmi gave strength, loyalty, and presence when it mattered most. And now she's choosing herself. And sometimes that's the most powerful decision a person can make. So now, everything hangs in the balance. A man asking for forgiveness, a woman choosing her peace, and a relationship that may never return to what it once was. Because in the end, it's not just about whether someone says sorry. It's about whether the other person still believes in what you had. And right now, that belief feels like the one thing Maurice may not be able to get back.